Okay, here we are on the third video of this unit form. Here is the summary inventory, rather similar to what was in fact in unit spreadsheet 07. I've changed the data very slightly, but let's just take a moment to examine what's in each cell. Okay, these orders placed happen to equal the sales. So in there you can see C7, highlight that. So that's equal to C7 and it's lifted from row 7. Running along that you can see that that applies to order placed in February, D7 and so on. Now the sales are increasing each month, so this is done deliberately for demonstration, and the orders being placed are not actually catching up in terms of stock being sold at all. So in fact what's happening when we go to the opening here of 120, the stock, the opening units will always equal the preceding month closing units, but the opening unit seems to be falling all the time. So let's just examine why. Well, first of all, the order being placed in C7, the goods don't actually arrive for 2 months. This 2 months it takes to get from January to March. So we place the order in January, we receive the goods in March. Is called a lead time, and that's 2 months in this case. So you can see these figures for April are from February, May is from March, and June likewise. So down here we've got the sales forecast and the delivered units we've just taken from above. So where did I get these two from? I've just put the figures in for illustration, as I don't have orders placed from the previous 2 months. Let's now suppose in February actually what happens is only 45 have arrived. All 80 arrived when we've sent some back. So we have a problem. We don't have enough inventory in place to meet June needs, and that is a problem. So what are we going to do about it? Well, what I've suggested we create some kind of buffer stock where if this figure drops below it, we actually order some extra. However, just before we do that, let's just highlight these. Let's just go to the home ribbon and do some conditional formatting and say the highlighter cells rules if it's less than 0, then we'll highlight it in red to indicate, let it really show that we've got a problem with inventory if we don't order sufficient. Okay, well we know this, so why don't we just order more? Fine, but remember, 2 months to deliver, that could be leaving it tight. So let's make some space. Alright, so I'm going to move all this down, highlight it, move it down 2 rows, and in here I'm going to create a buffer stock. Let's say 110. And here do we need to order any extra? buffer stock right across, so I'll keep it the same. And now I've got to make a cell that does a little bit of decision making. Okay, here we go. Now what I'm going to do is use an if statement. And I'm going to go up to the function finder, because this actually provides on-screen help. So we go up here and we're looking for the function if, which is listed here. If you can't find it, just type it in the search box, but if. Now what's the so-called logical test? What I'm going to say is if the closing unit, so it's clicking here, is less than the buffer stock, right, then the extra units we'd need will be the buffer stock minus closing units. That's the difference between the two. Otherwise, don't order any extra. Okay. So now when we go to the order placed, it's not just C9 which we've got in here. It's actually equal to C9 plus any extra orders that we need. Right, you might need to play this over a few times before you see what we're getting at. It's a very, very simple model, but it illustrates the power of spreadsheets. I'm going to highlight these two, drag that across, and suddenly we've solved our problem. We've increased the amount we've ordered for that period, and then our stocks have begun to settle down. But as you can see, we've only ordered extra if the closing unit is less than the buffer stock. So let's change the buffer stock, for example, to 100, and see if that makes a difference. Drag that across. Likewise, we can see that the decisions have altered. Okay, let's tidy that up. Let's box everything in, make it all look neat. Okay, and there we are. First of many videos on how to get spreadsheets to make some very basic decisions.